So, good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss the second revision class on management science. And my name is Dr. Faruqi, and today we'll start unit number 4. So, unit number 4 is on project management using techniques part and CPM. In this unit, you will be given problems from PERT and CPM. And the first problem I will explain you. A small engineering project consists of 6 activities, namely A, B, C, D, E and F, with duration of 4, 6, 5, 4, 3 and 3 days respectively. Draw the network diagram and calculate EST, LST, EFT, LFT and floats. Mark the critical path and find total project duration. This is one type of question they may ask you. So here you have been given the different activities 1 to 2, then you have 2 to 3, then 2 to 4, 3 to 5, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6, and the durations are given as 4, 1 to 2 is 4, 2 to 3 is 6, 2 to 4 is 4, 3 to 5 is 5, 4 to 5 is 3 and 5 to 6 is 3. First thing we have to do in this problem is find out EST at different events. For example, if you take activity 1 to 2, 1 is an event, that is a starting event or tail event, and 2 is an ending event or head event. And EST or activity 1 to 2 will be, in order to find out the EST for activity 1 to 2, the tail event 1 will be considered, and before this activity there is no other activity preceding. So there is no other activity preceding the activity 1 to 2. Here the earliest start time is 0 for at event number 1. At event number 2, the preceding activity is 1 to 2. 4 days it is taking activity A, and 4 is the EST. 2 to 3. So 4 plus 6, 10 this is. 2 to 4, 4 plus 4, 8 this is. Then 3 to 5, 10 plus 5, 15. 4 to 5, 8 plus 3, 11. But actually when two arrows or two paths are coming to a particular event, they are meeting at the same event, then we need to take the maximum of those two paths. For example, here 10 plus 5 is 15 and 8 plus 3 is 11. So maximum of the two paths will be considered while calculating EST of different events. And from 5 to 6, 15 plus 3, 18. So this is 18 is the actually EST at event number 6. And now calculation of LFT. How to calculate LFT? In order to calculate LFT, here the EST of the last event is the LFT of the last event. 18, then minus 3. So while doing backward calculations or while doing LFT calculations, LFT means latest finish time, EST means earliest start time. 6 to 5 if you take, so 6 to 5, so it is here actually 6 to 5, 18 minus 3, 15 LFT, then 15 minus 3, 12, 15 minus 5, 10, 12 minus 4, 8 and 10 minus 6, 4. So here again at event number 2, while doing backward calculations, two paths are coming like this one and the other one is coming like this. And at event number 3, the latest finish time is 10. At even number 4, latest finish time is 12. So 12 minus 4 is 8, whereas 10 minus 6 is 4. At even number 2 it is 4. And at even number 1 it is 4 minus 4, 0. So this is the way of calculating EST and LFT for any problem under CPM or PERT. So for the time being, here in this problem the activities are given A, B, C, D, E, F, and durations of these activities are given, and EST, LST, EFT, LFT calculations has been shown. EST is we have calculated. EFT means EST plus duration. EFT here, EST plus duration. Then LFT we have calculated. LST minus LFT minus duration. Then total float. The formula for total float is LFT minus EFT. LFT minus EFT. This formula. Okay, 0. Here 10 minus 10, 0. 15 minus 15, 0. 12 minus 8, 4. 15 minus 11, 4. 18 minus 18, 0. So like that we will get the total float values. And then we have free float. Generally free float will be calculated by using the formula. See, if you take a free float, so if you take free float, in case of activity A, it is 0, because LFT minus EFT is total float. If total float is 0, automatically free float will be 0 and independent float will be 0. So by default you can take free float as 0 and independent float as 0 if total float is 0. In the second case, for activity B, also 0, C 0, it is 4. So here we need to calculate, here 4 we need to calculate, and here also F 0 0 0. So that is over. Now you are required to calculate the free float for the remaining activities. What are the remaining activities? The activity E and activity D. So if you look at activity D, so it is the formula is for free float. So LFT minus EFT minus duration. LFT minus EFT minus duration. So that is LFT is here. If you take D, LFT is 12 minus 8 minus 4, 0. And if you look at the free float here in this case, here also it is 0 for E activity is 0, and here it is, if you take 15 minus 11, LFT minus EFT minus 3. So 15 minus 4 minus 3, 1 should be, you are getting 4. Why you are getting 4? Actually the reason is because of free float is calculated by formula. This is the formula for free float. See, free float is equals to, I will show you the formula for free float. Free float, here you can see EST of the head event minus EST of the tail event minus activity duration. This is the formula. EST of the head event minus EST of the tail event minus activity duration, whereas independent float is EST of the head event minus LFT of the tail event minus activity duration. So EST of the head event, you just see head event. So for E activity, where it is shown, here it is 4 to 5. What is the EST of the head event? It is 15 minus 8, 7 minus 3, that is 4 you are getting. And in the case of activity D, if you look at D activity, EST of the head event 12 minus 4, 8 minus 4, it is 4. Okay, so that is the actually for E 15 minus uh, EST of the head event minus EST of the tail event. 15 minus 8 minus 3 for activity E. Activity E 4. Whereas for activity D 12 and EST is 8, sorry, 8 minus 4 0. So like that you will get, and the independent float formula is in EST of the head event minus, see here, LFT of the tail event minus activity duration, EST of the head event minus LFT of the tail event minus activity duration. This is the formula. Why I am showing you again? So that you have to by heart these formulas. The formula for free float you must know, because free float refers to the time by which an activity can expand without affecting succeeding activities. An independent float is the time by which an activity may be delayed or extended without affecting the preceding or succeeding activities in any way. Independent float, that is EST of the head event minus LFT of the tail event. If you look at that, then you can get the independent float is 0 for all the events. So like this problem has been completed. Now one more problem we will discuss, that is on PERT. So the problem on CPM is over. The problem on PERT now. The problem on PERT. A small engineering project consists of 6 activities. Three time estimates in number days for each activity are given below. Activities are given. TO means optimistic time, PM most likely time, TP pessimistic times are given. Activity first 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 1 to 4, 4 to 5, and different optimistic times, most likely times and pessimistic times for different activities are given. Find out is, now the first question is calculate the values of expected time, that is TE, and standard deviation variance of the activity. Draw the network diagram and mark it on each activity. Calculate EST and LFT and mark them on the network diagram. Calculate total slack for each activity. Identify the critical path and mark on the network diagram. And find out the probability of completing the project in 25 days. Okay. So these are the questions. Now if you look at this, the diagram, so here TO, TM, TP is given. Expected time you are required to find out first. Expected time, and expected time is equals to, formula is TO plus 4TM plus TP by 6. So find out the TE by using that formula. Then TP minus TO by 6 is a standard deviation. Formula for standard deviation is TP minus TO by 6, and variance is TP minus TO by 6 whole square. Find out the expected time and then find out the standard deviation and variance. And coming to next slide, see network diagram, drawing the network diagram. So in the earlier case I already told you while discussing CPM problem how to calculate EST and LFT. Here also you can calculate EST and LFT in a similar fashion. So then you will get that event number 1 EST is 0 and event number 6 it is 20, and project duration is naturally 20 days. And the later the backward calculations, the backward past computations, 20 you will start, and you will come to the first event. So find out it. Now EST, then EFT. EFT means EST plus duration. LFT find out, and LST means LFT minus duration, like that. And later slack you are required to find out. So what is the formula for slack? Slack means LFT minus EFT, or you can take the EST minus LST, or LST minus EST. LFT minus EFT or LST minus EST. So if you look at LFT minus EFT, 5 minus 5 is 0, 6 minus 6 is 0, 13 minus 13 is 0, LFT minus EFT, 20 minus 20 is 0, 5 minus 3 is 2, 13 minus 11 is 2. And now critical path. So critical path is that path in which case, for which activity the slack is 0. Now slack is 0 for 1 to 2, then for 2 to 3, then for 3 to 5, then for 5 to 6. So critical path is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6. That is 20 days. 1 to 2 is 5 days, 2 to 3 is 1 day, 5 plus 1 6, 3 to 5 is 7 days, 30 plus 7 20 days. Now probability of completion of the project in 25 days. What is the formula for finding out the probability of completion of the project? Z is equals to T minus E by sigma. In other words, you can take probability of completion of the project is denoted by Z and in 25 days. So scheduled time is 25 days and expected time is you already found, that is 20 days. Z is equals to Ts minus Te by sigma. Ts is equals to 25 and Te is 20. So sigma is equals to square root of standard deviation of those activities that are lying on the critical path, 1 plus 0 plus 9 plus 0. So that are lying on the critical path. So then you can take Z is equals to, directly you can take the Ts is 25 and 20 is the Te and square root of standard deviation or variance. In other words, variance is equals to, actually you take, so if you look at 1 plus 0, how you are getting 1 is the standard deviation. So Ts minus Te by sigma is the formula for Z. Sigma is root 10. 5 by, actually, so you are getting 3.33, that is 1.50. So if you take the table value for 1.50, Z is equals to 93.32%. So table values you have to see. In the table, in the textbook, in RH3, if you look at the 1.5, you will find the 1.5 at 93% and 3, the value is 93.32 at that one. So you will get 1.50 value, 93.32%. So now the second problem, and that is a PERT, is over. And third problem they are giving on project crashing in PERT and CPM. So generally in the fourth unit, the examiner is asking 4 types of questions on project management. Number 1, they are asking a problem on CPM. Number 2, they are asking a problem on PERT. Number 3, they are asking a problem on project crashing. Number 4, the differences between PERT and CPM. These are the 4 things they are asking. Now project management 2. Coming to project management 2. Crashing of network. So see the things: normal cost, normal time, crash cost, crash time, and cost slope. So cost slope formula is crash cost minus normal cost by normal time minus crash time. So crash time, normal time, crash cost, normal cost has been shown by taking hashtag along y-axis and time along x-axis. Crashing of network. Now let us take a problem on this. Given the following data, work out the minimum duration of the project and corresponding cost. Given the following data, work out the minimum duration of the project and corresponding cost. Activities are given to you in the first column: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. jobs are given to you, 1 to 2 like that. Normal time, crash time, normal cost, and crash cost also given. Cost slope has been found out by using the formula crash cost minus normal cost by normal time minus crash time. So if you look at the cost slope, cost slope, and as far as the cost slope is concerned, you can find 50 is the cost slope for activity A. For activity B it is 20, C 40, D 75, E 130, F 50, G 100. These are the cost slopes. Now priorities. And before going to look at the priorities, we need to find out the critical path. Which are the activities that are lying on the critical path? Because we need to crash only those activities that are lying on the critical path. First, we must see which are the activities, what are the activities that are lying on the critical path, and then we must crash that activity first, which is having least cost slope. So now in this problem, what are the activities that are on the critical path? If you look at this, then A, then E, then G. These three activities are on the critical path. And look at the cost slope. The minimum cost slope is for the activity A, that is 50, and crash time for 50 is 6 and normal time is 10. 4 days we can crash. So first network diagram we will draw, and we will find out the critical path for the original values. 1 to 2 normal time is 10 for this. So you mark the critical path with the double arrow like this: 1 to 2, 2 to 5, and 5 to 6. And critical path is 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, and duration is 28 days. The total cost is direct cost plus indirect cost. Direct cost plus indirect cost means, what is the direct cost here? See here, normal cost you can take, normal cost you have to take, and for all the things normal cost you need to consider. Direct cost plus indirect cost. Indirect cost is not given in the problem. Direct cost means normal cost you have to take 400 plus 100 plus 360 plus 600 plus 840 plus 200 plus 1200 you need to take. Here it is mistakenly typed. Total cost is not 10 plus 4 or like that. This normal time has been printed. That is not correct. That is not correct. Plus 28 days indirect cost is not given, so you can leave that indirect cost. And plus 0 you can consider it as. And 1 to 2 activity crash by 4 days. Crash it by 4 days, 10 will become 6 days. Then again draw the network. After drawing the network, 1 to 2 will become 6, and again finding out the critical path. And hopefully I think the critical path is not changing here. It remains the same. 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6. It remains the same. And 5 to 6 activity, next one. So 52 plus, what is the cost slope of 1 to 2 activity? 50. So 4 days we are crashing, 50 into 4. Crashing. Okay, plus 0. This is not 52. This is not 52, my dear student. This is not 52. This is not 52. So then 5 to 6 activity crash by 2 days. The next activity you see is 2 days. Here it is 5 to 6 activity. E 2 to 5 activity by 2 days. 2 to 5 activity. It is in the third rank, least than third rank. priority. This is second priority. This is second priority. This is second priority. And crash it by 2 days. Then you can do it. And next draw the critical network. And like that, do it for the next iterations. Go on to the next iterations. And total cost, find out the total cost. So 10 finally crashed 2 to 5 activity by 2 days. Then optimum cost and optimum duration you can write down. So this is the problem, the way how you can solve a problem on the project crash. And the fourth question generally they're asking you on project management is the differences between PERT and CPM. PERT means Program Evaluation Review Technique. It's a tool to evaluate a given program and review the progress made it from time to time. A program is also called a project. Actually, this is Program Evaluation Review Technique generally, but the program is also called a project. A project is defined as a set of activities with a specified goal occupying a specific period. Maybe a small or big project such as the construction of a college building, roads, marriage, conducting marriage or picnic or like that. CPM is assumed that the time required to complete an can be predicted fairly accurately. This is a certain procedure. CPM as it is an uncertain procedure is here PERT, because the 3 time estimates are involved, like optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time. And in CPM, time is an important factor. Okay, so CPM involves a trade-off between costs and time. The costs involved can be quantified once the critical path has been identified. It involves determining the optimum duration for the project. What is the duration for the project? Minimum duration that involves the lowest overall cost. This is the CPM. And look at the differences between PERT and CPM. Applications are also given here, and PERT basic terminology has been given. Classification of activities like non-critical activity, like that, critical activity, dummy activity, etc. And basic terminology used in CPM like slack, earliest start time, critical path, earliest start time, finish time, latest start time, latest finish time, floats. And generally if you look at the slack and floats, you look at here, this is actually here, if you look at the basic difference between slack and float, slack is used with reference to event and float is used with reference to activity. And floats are of 3 types. Floats. So generally they are also asking a question in the short answer questions. What is the significance of float in CPM? Because in CPM, activity based approach is CPM. That is an event oriented approach. So there are 3 types of floats: total float, free float, and independent float. Total float is the additional time which a non-critical activity can consume, because anyhow critical activity total float is 0. So it is the additional time which a non-critical activity can consume without increasing the project duration. However, total float may include the floats in previous and subsequent activities, and total float is calculated by using the formula LST minus EST or LFT minus EFT. Then free float. Free float refers to the time by which an activity can expand without affecting the succeeding activities, the next activities. The independent float means this time by which an activity may be delayed or extended. Without affecting the preceding or succeeding activities in any way. EST of the head event minus LFT of the tail event minus activity duration is the formula for independent float. And free float is EST of the head event minus EST of the tail event minus activity duration. So I am closing the very first unit of today's second revision class, that is the 4th unit, And in this unit we have discussed the problem on CPM and the problem on PERT, and the differences between PERT and CPM, the concept of float, and the problem on project crashing. The second unit, now we will move to the second unit, introduction to strategic management. Generally, strategic management is also known as corporate planning. And the corporate planning is the process of planning undertaken by top management to achieve their organizational goals. So if you take any organization, it has its own goals. Now to achieve their goals, the planning will be done by the management. So significant phases in corporate planning. Number one is environmental scanning. Number two, strategy formulation and implementation. Okay, these are the significant phases in corporate planning. Number one, environmental scanning. Number two, strategy formulation and implementation. And then the elements in corporate planning. What are the elements in corporate planning? Mission. That means overall objective or overall goal. And you see, objectives, the second one. Objectives, goals. Then we have strategies. Then we have policies. Then we have programs. Then we have purpose. So like this we have different elements in corporate planning. Now strategic management process. It's a series of steps involved in strategic management process. The basic steps of the strategic management process are like this. Number one is identifying corporate mission, the first one, and formulate the strategic objectives. Apprise internal environment and external environment. The first one is corporate mission. The second one is strategic objectives. Then apprise internal and external environment. Then developing and evaluating alternative strategies. Then select the best strategy. Establishing strategic business units. Fix target alert and fix the targets and allot the resources to each SBU. Then monitor the performance. Then revise the operating plans where necessary. And then you have environmental scanning process. What process is regarded as environmental scanning process? Environmental scanning process. So if you look at this slide carefully, environmental scanning process consists of corporate planning. First step. The second step is environmental scanning. And this environmental scanning, so while doing the planning for the company, the top management will scan the environment, and environment consists of two environments, external and internal. In the external environment, the management will scan the general environment, industry environment and international environment, and then it will scan the opportunities and threats in the external environment and internal environment. So the organization will look for functional areas internally, the departments that are working in the organization. What are the departments that work within the organization? Like marketing, production, finance, human resources, like that. So all this will be functional area profile will be checked and evaluate this, and then make a SAP strategic advantage profile with respect to your competitor. And strengths and weaknesses, your strengths and weaknesses will be evaluated by evaluating the internal environment. Internal environment. Now you just see the environmental scanning, environmental analysis, environmental diagnosis, actional environment analysis. Then you have the industry environment. So in the general environment, what are the things we will consider? General environment means the growth of the economy, decline of the economy, other large scale changes in farms. Those are the factors, the socio-economic factors, technological factors, government factors will be considered. And then industry environment. In the industry environment, you will look for a group of farms carrying a similar activity will be checked. And again, it has three sectors: the customers, suppliers, and competitors. Then we have internal environment analysis and diagnosis. So like you have internal environment, marketing factors, R&D, then managerial personnel, accounting people, financial policies, personnel management. Again, those things, strengths and weaknesses in this will be tested. So identify first the internal strength and weaknesses. And the strength and weaknesses may include the following, like marketing strengths, financial strengths, your managerial personal strengths of your organization. Then research and development profile. What are your strengths in R&D? What are your financial resources, infrastructure, human resources, organization system? Now coming to strategic advantage profile, SAP. See here, SAP refers to how well you are competing well with your competitor as far as your strengths and weaknesses are concerned. So SAP, that is strategic advantage profile. So the ultimate result of such a detailed internal analysis to build a strategic advantage profile. It's a tool used to evaluate systematically the enterprise's internal factors, the competitive strengths or weaknesses. For example, if you take internal areas such as marketing, R&D, and then if you take others, in this, what are your strengths? Next important topic is strategic management. So first thing we have discussed about the elements in corporate planning, the definitions of all these things like vision, then objectives, then programs, procedures, policies, strategies, budget, etc. The second thing is the environmental scanning are the major steps taken in the corporate planning or strategic management process. The third thing is environmental scanning. So generally the examiner is asking questions only from these areas. Then we have SWOT analysis. So in the next 1 minute I will start SWOT analysis, right? Now coming to the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is defined as the rational process. It is a rational process of company strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So external environment analysis first. That is opportunities and threats. Opportunities and threats. External environment analysis. Opportunities and threats. For example, there may be an opportunity for your organization in adapting the latest technology, or some liberalized rules, regulations from the government may be an opportunity. Threats. Some development in the external environment represents threats. A threat is a challenge posed by an unfavorable trend or a development that results in the loss of sales or profit till a defensive marketing action is initiated. For example, you take COVID-19. It's a threat to business community nowadays. So unless and until a defensive approach like a medicine for curing COVID-19 or a vaccine has not been found out, it's always a threat for the business undertakings. And here the examples has been given as a change in government policy. Sometimes if there is a change in government, there is a change in the policy, such as liberalization, privatization, globalization during 1990 by the then government, P.V. Narasimha Rao government. Changing technology, changing value systems, environmental constraints, law and order. Then coming to internal environment analysis, that is strengths and weaknesses. External means you have to see the opportunities and threats. Internal environment analysis means you have to see strengths and weaknesses. And strength. So strength means see, if you have, it's not necessary that a business organization has to correct all its weakness, more that it's propagate its strength. The big question is whether the business should limit itself to those opportunities where it possesses the required strength, or should it consider better opportunities where it might have to develop certain strength. Weakness. Sometimes the company may not do well that not because its department is lack the required motivation, but because they do not work together as a team. For example, consider the case of the electronics company which employs engineers, sales and service staff for its operations. It is not adequate if they keep on doing the work. So like that we have strategic management unit we have covered, and in this we have discussed the elements in corporate planning, and then we have discussed the strategic management process, then we have discussed the environmental scanning, then we have discussed the SWOT analysis, and then internal environment analysis. And if you look at the strengths and weaknesses are also given for a particular organization. If you take value for money program, this is a strength. Pool of trained faculty. If you have trained faculty, then it's a strength for any organization. And in a similar manner, if you look at weakness, not aggressive in selling. Weakness. Opportunities. Growing demand for computer education. It's an opportunity. Rise in number of competitors. It's a threat. Now strategy formulation. Strategy formulation. Strategy formulation. Strategy formulation. And strategy implementation are also considered in this particular unit. Strategy formulation is often referred as strategic planning or long range planning. It's a long range planning. Generally, in your organization, if you plan for next 10 years or next 5 years or next 20 years, then it is strategic planning or long range planning. And this is primarily analytical procedure. It's not action oriented. It's not a one time step. It is an analytical procedure. And this strategy formulation process is concerned with developing a corporate mission, objectives, strategy, and policy. First step is corporate mission. So strategy formulation means you can write all the elements included in the strategic planning process, starting from corporate mission, objectives, then strategy, then policy. This process involves scanning external and internal environment factors. And the second one, and the strategy formulation. So you can scan the external environment and internal environment. Analysis of the strategic factors and generation, and then evaluation, selection of the best alternative strategy appropriate to the analysis. And there is an author called Henry Mintzberg. He has clearly pointed out that corporations' objectives and strategies are strongly affected by the top management's view of the world. Objective and strategy, how they are looking at the world. Depending upon it, they will make the objectives. Depending upon it, they will make the strategies by looking at the world. This view determines the mode to be used in strategy formulation, and these modes include entrepreneurial mode, adaptive mode, planning mode, etc. So the strategy formulation process involves environmental analysis, organization analysis. Environmental analysis means external environment analysis, the opportunities and threats. OT. In SWOT analysis, SWOT, S stands for strengths, W stands for weaknesses, O stands for opportunities, and T stands for threats. Organizational analysis, that means strengths and weaknesses. Development of strategic alternatives and analysis, and selecting the most appropriate strategy from the alternatives developed. So you need to develop number of alternatives after scanning the internal as well as the external environment. Your duty is to develop number of alternatives. After developing the alternatives, as a manager, means as a top management, it's your duty, or as a manager, middle level, it's a duty, as an operative level manager, it's a duty to select one strategy among them. The corporate level strategies include stability strategies. Stability means maintain status quo. Growth strategies, growing, expanding. Retrenchment strategy, reducing, dropping some products from your product line. Not expanding, but retrenchment. Combination strategy or portfolio restructuring, etc. Then implementation of strategies. So coming to implementation of strategies, you have institutionalization of strategy, setting proper organizational climate, developing appropriate operating plans, developing appropriate organizational structures, and periodic review of strategy. So implementation. The first step is formulating. Formulate the strategy by scanning the internal, external, and developing alternatives and choosing the one. And not only choosing the one from the alternatives developed. What are the different strategies? The corporate level strategies, maybe stability, maybe expansion, maybe retrenchment, maybe portfolio strategy, the combination of the strategies. And later, the implementation of the strategies. How do you implement the strategy? By institutionalization of strategy, by setting proper organizational climate, developing appropriate operating plans. So plans should be implemented. For it, you have to, after formulating, in order to implement that strategy, you need to develop appropriate operating plans. And you need to set organizational climate, a conducive organizational climate in which your employees should work properly. They should feel happy to work. And then developing appropriate organizational structures. So appropriate organizational structures. Developing appropriate organizational structures. You have to set up the organizational structure in which the people will work in an efficient and effective and productive manner. And periodically you have to review the strategy. So these are the important contents of the unit number 5, that is strategic management process. So in this, if you look at the introduction to strategic management, see, mission or purpose is the first step in the element in corporate planning. Objectives, goals, and then you take the strategies. Strategies mean general programs of actions and development of resources to attain comprehensive objectives. So if you take any organization, that organization has its own objective. In order to attain the objective, you require resources. How you are going to utilize those resources so that how you are going to what program of action you are taking, so to attain the objectives, and how you are developing the resources is strategy. Program of action, chalking out an action, is strategy. Policy means it's a broad guideline set by the top management for the purpose of making Now we'll go to unit number 6, contemporary strategic issues. Before going to discuss unit number 6, once again I would like to tell you this unit number 5. I'd like to recapitulate unit number 5. So here you have policy. Program refers to logical sequence of operations to be performed in a given project based on a set of goals. Program means it's just like a timetable. What is the first activity or operation? What is the second operation? What is the logical sequence of operations in a given project? Purpose. A strategy is an operational tool to achieve the goals. Okay, strategies do not attempt to outline exactly how the enterprise is to accomplish its objective. So strategic management process: identifying corporate mission, formulate the strategic objectives. So by preparing statements of mission, you see a policy, strategy, and goals. The top management establish the framework within which divisions and departments prepare their plans. So it is essential that the members of the organization agree on these given strategic objectives. Thus formulated, the strategic objectives reinforce the commitment of the members. That is very, very important. Always take the commitment of the members. They must be committed. You must take the willingness. You should convince them. You should convince your subordinates. And my dear students, now we'll go to unit number 6. So here contemporary strategic issues is unit number 6, and in unit number 6 you have contemporary, means the currently going on strategic issues. What are the currently going on strategic issues adapted by the organizations or adapted by the managements? What are the current happenings, like just in time, JIT in other words. Second, total quality management, in other words TQM. Third, Six Sigma. Fourth, CMM, that is capability maturity model. There are 5 levels, or here it is given only 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and actually 5 levels are there, that is level 5 is also here given. Then SCM, supply chain management, then enterprise resource planning, then business process outsourcing, then business process re-engineering, then benchmarking. So these are the various contemporary strategic issues. Contemporary strategic issues. So before going to start unit number 6, I will give you 1 minute break. Right. Welcome to this class once again. Unit number 6 is contemporary strategic issues. Contemporary strategic issues. So the very first one is just in time. So when the components arrive as and when required in a manufacturing organization, and it is called just in time. So here we'll eliminate any inventory of parts, zero inventory, and the components whenever we require they will just arrive in time. That means just in time, they will arrive just in time. And also we could produce finished goods just in time. So whenever a customer demands, then we will produce the items just in time to be handed over to customer who wants them. So at a conceptual extremes, it has no need for inventory. It has no need for inventory or stock, either of raw materials or work in progress or finished goods. Then coming to total quality management, it is a term first coined by the US Naval Air Systems Command to describe its Japanese style management approach to quality improvement. It's a management approach to long-term success to customer satisfaction. In a TQM effort, all members of the organization participate in improving processes, products, services, and culture in which they work. So a detailed explanation of TQM approach you just refer to Dr. R.S. Rees' textbook in Six Sigma. 3.4 defects per million opportunities, defect level. Six Sigma quality products at defect level below 3.4 defects per million opportunities. And see here, then you have definition, and CMM level 1 is initial, level 2 repeatable, level 3 defined, level 4 managed, then optimizing, level 5. We have later, we have next one, that is supply chain management. Supply chain management. Then we have ERP, enterprise resource planning. Then we have performance management. Then business process outsourcing, business process re-engineering. Then balanced scorecard and benchmarking. With this unit has been completed. These are the important topics of unit number 6. Just in time, total quality management. At least you have to write 1-page notes, because of 4 things or 2 things they will give. If they give 2 things, 2 pages notes you have to write, and you have to refer RSC textbook for this purpose. And total quality management, Six Sigma. So generally they are asking 4, in sometimes 4 into 4, 4 or 4 into 3, 12 marks are like that. CMM, enterprise resource planning, business process outsourcing, and then BPO, back office outsourcing, front office outsourcing. Back office means this includes internal business functions such as billing or purchasing. Front office means customer related such as marketing or technical support. Okay, back office and front office. Business process re-engineering means fundamental rethinking or radical redesign of business processes to achieve dramatic improvements in critical contemporary measures of performance such as cost, quality, service and speed. So BPR means critical rethinking, a radical redesign of the things. And BPR is a management approach aiming at improvement by means of elevating efficiency and effectiveness of the processes that exist within and across organizations. The key to BPR is for organizations to look at their business processes from a clean slate perspective and determine how they can best construct this process to improve how they conduct business. Different processes a particular organization has started with. And BPO means the contracting of specific business tasks such as payroll to a third-party service provider. Benchmarking and balanced scorecard is also there. Benchmarking means a process of searching for, identifying and using ideas, techniques and improvement of other companies' situations in its own activities. Definition of benchmarking: a systematic and ongoing process of improving performance by measuring a product, service or process against a partner that has mastered it. A systematic and ongoing process of improving performance by measuring a product, service or process against a partner that has mastered it. So that means, for example, if you take any subject, there is a master for it. And benchmark means you have to improve your performance, ongoing process of improving performance. That too. You have to improve your performance and it should be continuous, systematic process. And by measuring a product, here it's a product measurement and service measurement or process against a partner that has mastered it. Benchmark. And benchmarking involves measuring the performance of the organization, team or individuals against the best practice for the industry, team or individuals for that particular activity. Then balanced scorecard. There are 4 perspectives we will consider in balanced scorecard. What are they? What are they? the learning and growth perspective, the business process perspective, the customer perspective, and the financial perspective. Okay, with this, I am closing this session.